Hello and welcome back to my channel. So on the bench today we have Audio Technica wireless microphone system. This is the receiver, and over here is the transmitter, which is belt mounted with a boom microphone that goes on the head, and both units are faulty and comes from a friend of mine, Dan, and he likes to blow things up and he likes to give me them to fix. So what should I start with first? Well, this receiver, have a look at the back of it. It's a bit long, that's the problem. It's got two antenna sockets, so it's got diversity reception. In other words, having two separate receivers and two antennas, you avoid dropouts as you move around and multipath distortion on the audio. And what it does basically, it switches between the two separate receivers and decides which is the strongest and takes the signal from that one. But this unit is completely dead as a doornail, and the transmitter isn't much better either, but it's not completely dead. So I plug in some power, it takes 12 volts, and I'll just put the meter on. You can just about see that. So I've got 12.5 volts. 12.5 volts. That goes in the back, because it runs on DC obviously. And switches on, but there's absolutely nothing. So I had a quick look around, and over here by the socket there's a little RF choke. Now that goes between the DC negative input and the chassis earth and the main earth on the board. Similarly, there's one on the positive rail as well, hiding behind that capacitor, that one there. So that one looks a bit smoked, toasted. So that's one fault. But what is more interesting, and I can arrange all this. Right, I get my meter and I go onto the socket connections. Absolutely nothing coming in. First of all, I suspected a broken solder joint on the board, but you should still get power across those two connections on the socket. And I'll turn it around maybe. If I go between them, I can just about go on the negative of the jack and go on to the positive. .49. So the negative is not connecting through to the negative on the socket. negative on the outer. I could more understand it if it was the centre pin there was a problem. Now, if we have a look in there, I mean, it does look slightly bent, that connection for the negative of the jack plug, but you'd think it would make some contact, but it doesn't anyway, so it's obviously damaged. And I don't know if there's much hope of getting that socket out and trying to, well, I can't really get underneath it. I might get into it from the bottom by drilling a hole and bending the pin up, and there definitely is continuity. It's an awkward thing to deal with, it's too big. If I put the meter on continuity, I go on that bit of whatever it is. I can't see what I'm doing. Yeah, that's between the pin on the socket and that bit of metal in there. So it has got continuity between those two, which I thought it probably would. So it really needs a new socket, because I think even if I manage to bend that thing back up again, it's quite likely it would break again or bend. So I haven't got one of these. I don't want to order one. Trying to find the right one with the right pin spacing might be difficult, but I think what I'll do, and Dan won't care one way or the other, is I'll hardwire it with a piece of cable straight onto the circuit board, long enough that he can connect it to whatever he wants, because normally this stays on the piece of equipment all the time. It doesn't need to be taken off very often. And I'll just stick a Wallace and grommet in it, in the hole, which will hold it all in place, if I can find some decent cable, which is also a struggle. We'll see what we can do. And by the way, I haven't got the antennas. He's got those, which screw in, but I don't need it. I don't need the antennas to test it, because the signal will be so strong, and I can just stick a piece of wire in the back, or a screwdriver or whatever, and it'll still work. And it does work, because I have had it working, and I'll demonstrate that next. Okay, so what I've done now, I bypassed the inductor, which is burnt out on the negative side, connected my power straight to ground, and connected onto the back of the power socket, which is just about going to stay in place. And I've got a very dim power on button light, but that's normal. It never was very bright in the first place. And now I need to generate a signal and show you it working. So I just rig that up with an amplifier. Okay, so up there is my signal generator, set to the correct frequency, 174.1 megahertz. I don't know if you can see the display. And I've got a short antenna just there, and it's set to 0 dBm output, and it's frequency modulated at 38 kilohertz. I thought it might be more than that, being wide FM, but it gets a bit distorted if you go over 38. So 1 kilohertz tone. So That's what, and the back, into the back I've got plugged in an audio cable just there to the amplifier. Generator's turned off at the moment, but I'm going to turn it on. And that is working, and annoyingly loud, but it works. Not only does it work, we've got other things happening. It's picking up the best signal on tuner B, but if I stick tweezers on there onto the other antenna socket, it goes to that one because it's getting a better signal, and it's getting a bit of an overload situation. Not really a problem, it just means I've got a bit too much deviation going in, but basically I can get it to work. It's just it's going to be a bit of a hassle to permanently fix it. Okay, I think that's enough of that. It's also got some level control, which is quite good, and a squelch adjust, which if I turn the carrier off, doesn't seem to do anything. The squelch is turned down. See what the squelch works or not. Squelch doesn't do anything. We won't worry about the squelch. I know it's working anyway. It's doing exactly what it should do. And that's all that can be said for that particular unit. It's just a matter of fixing it, which means I'm going to have to take the board out, which should be fairly tedious, take the front panel off probably, unplug all the wires, and do what I said, wire straight in. And the inductor, the one on the positive rail reads around 1 microhenry, and the main importance when you're going to put an inductor in line with the power is that it's got low resistance. In practice I could just short that little inductor out completely and it would work. I can guarantee it would work. But what I'll probably do is I'll just get a little ferrite bead and put a few turns of wire on it, and that'll be good enough for me and Dan, who owns it. So let's move on to the transmitter. Okay, the transmitter runs on 2 AAs, and it does tell you the frequency. Helpful. And it's got a gain adjustment. I hadn't seen that before, but never mind. It's also got what looks like a volume control on the top, and strangely it has a 3-position power switch. It possibly might mute the audio in the centre. Can't remember. It's a long time since I tested all this out. But it is transmitting, because if I have a look over here, spectrum analyzer, we have a massive signal being picked up minus 16 dBm, so it's putting out a fair bit of signal. It's also got some modulation on it, which is interesting. Not quite sure why. If I put it to the centre position on the switch, those modulation signals go away. But there is no audio modulation. Absolutely nothing when I mess around with the microphone. And I can prove that on this little radio. Nice carrier. Yeah, I think it does mute the audio because there's more hiss. More hiss when you put it all the way across to the right. And then it's just a blank carrier. And got course I had a look around. Thought it would be something fairly simple. And what did I find? This mess. I mean, how can anybody do that to it? They've given you a decent piece of cloth covered wire, and somehow he's managed to damage it, exposing one end poking out, and probably the other end I can find if I take my time looking for it. So what I propose to do on this, turn it off. What I propose is just it's quite a small piece of cable, not going to be necessarily the easiest thing to join. Just cut it all back, solder it together and heat shrink it. That's the best I can do with it, because I can't get inside this easily. It's all sealed up. It'll be virtually impossible to pull that apart without destroying it completely. Can't remember how much this cost. It wasn't very much, maybe 20-30 pounds, I don't know, something like that. It's quite nicely made because you can screw in the jack so it doesn't fall out. As nicely made as you can expect anyway. So I don't know which to do first really. I think I'll do the receiver, although the receiver's not much good without the transmitter working. But in theory that's going to be the hardest job, because I'm going to have to pull it all apart. But it's not exactly difficult, is it? It's just a matter of a lot of messing around. It is still working, yeah. Just looking at the current consumption, it's hardly anything. 130 milliamps. So it doesn't exactly draw a lot of current. So that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this apart. Probably not going to show you too much of that, but when I get the board out I'll come back. So the board is out, and yeah, I've got to get that inductor out. I've just found something which I previously made earlier, which is a ferrite bead with some wire on it. And if we look at up here, it measures 2.1 microhenries. That'll be perfect. Don't even have to wind it myself. Difference between 1 microhenry and 2 is neither here nor there. And the main thing is it's going to be low resistance, because you don't want any voltage drop, do you? Just need to clean that up and then shove it in where the inductor was. What else did I find when I was on my travels? Oh yeah, some wire. Now I found this, which is quite long, and I know how long it's got to be roughly, so I think this will be quite long enough. And much as I hate to do this, I'm going to have to cut this plug off it, because I'm taking the socket out and hardwiring it. So I'm going to have to cut that off, sadly. But it's polarised, so that's the main thing. So I'm just going to go ahead now and get on with this and get it all done. See you later. Well, what do you know? Chance in a million. I actually found another one of these sockets. Identical. Perfect pin spacing. Everything perfect, I think. Yeah, looks pretty good to me. So, what was the chances of finding one of those? No idea where it came from or what it was for. It was brand new and never been used. So that can go in there. And get soldered. And I'm running out of solder, but I'll have more, because somebody gave me some, which is very nice of them. That can get done. I wonder why that inductor blew up. I mean, it wouldn't take much. It's usually probably with something like reverse polarity that would do that. That's fairly good. Back panel. Now that's a bit more difficult. I want to see if it lined up. No, I'll leave that because I think it will. I think those joints aren't the greatest because I can't see very well with the camera in front of me. Fine, that'll do. I'll do the inductor next, off camera. Okay, went quite well. That's the new inductor and socket you've seen. Got it plugged in, let's try it then. I need to, where's the power button? Yes, it works. Oh God, I've bent an LED. Why did I have to bend that LED? Bent an LED, yellow one. Never mind. I can put it all back together and it'll work fine. So it's all back together. And what do you believe? It works. Be quiet. Oh, it's okay. Just needs a bit more volume on the amplifier. I'm on tuner B. My stick screwdriver in the other one. Go on to tuner A. So wasn't too hard, was it? It's just disassembly and reassembly. That's a bit of a nuisance sometimes. It's a right bastard to getting this case back together. It's such a tight fit. Which is name of a crap group back in the 80s, tight fit. Anyway, never mind about that. I suppose I'll have to move on to this bit. Because if I can't get this bit working, it's not much point, is there, in fixing the receiver, apart from buying another one of these, which I don't think you want to do. Anyway, that's what I'll do next. So, I've stripped those two ends back, and that is some incredibly fine wire there. Oh, it's going to be a difficult job getting something on there. But I think I've done stuff similar before to solder those two together. I think the plan will be just to heat shrink the red one and then put heat shrink over the top of it all. Oh dear. But before I do that, I'm just going to solder the two together and test it, and then we'll see what comes next. So that bit of nonsense hanging in the air, flapping around in the breeze, is what I've managed to do. So they're all connected. Let's see if it works. I've got it turned on. What shall I use? I think I'll use this nasty little bow fan to listen to it on. Oh, it's working. What a surprise. I'm twiddling the volume on here. And the centre position is muted. No audio. Strange, I don't know what the point of that is really. I suppose it might have one. So that's fine, that is successful so far. I've just got somehow heat shrink one of those wires and heat shrink the whole thing. Not sure how reliable that's going to be. Oh well, it's the best I can do. But that's about the best I can manage, and it does work. But I mean, I haven't got any heat shrink that's small enough really. But I've done all I can. That's the thinnest I got. I think to make it extra strong, I'm going to cover all this with glue, and before I heat shrink this piece on top, So I'll do that. So that's about the best I can do with that. It does still work, I think. Yeah, it still works. It's not going to stand up to much abuse, and it will get abuse. There's nothing else I can do with it. The final test is to try it on the actual receiver. Okay, let's check it's on. That's on. Power on. Volume up. Working. It's not terribly loud. No, that's alright. As good as it's going to get. As good as it ever was. It either works or it doesn't it? When you have to join a piece of cable like that. And pushes the tuner switches over to a different socket. That's fine. Well, I think I've done quite a good job there. But I don't know how reliable it's going to be in the future. Best I can do. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.